I call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mochler,
Here.
Graylobe,
Here.
Brady,
Here.
Teasy,
Here.
Gilbertson,
Any conflict of interest declarations? Hearing none. Approval of agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
just one quick, Andy will not be here today, so we're gonna need to move that till next week.
Oh, okay. So we can just table that when we get to it.
Yeah,
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Approval of minutes. So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Are there any visitors to be heard? We don't have anybody online, do we? Okay.
It's more not twain.
Entertain a motion to go into ditch board.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Invoice from Holtag for the FEMA repairs on Clay Creek.
To approve payment. Second.
A motion and a second. All those, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
So, at that meeting last week, there was a lot of discussion, how come the engineer wasn't there? And we talked to Brad the next day, we had a meeting with him, and he said he'll come. Any meeting ever you want him to come, just, he needs to know. And I never thought to throw an invite out to him or nothing, but he said he would
That's great.
come anytime, so. Cause everybody wanted to talk to him about. I don't actually remember, everybody wanted to talk to him about everything, basically. But, then Brent and I, we drove lateral 3, lateral 2, and I did on lateral 1. And there's a couple of sloughs, about a mile of corn stalks and one culvert, 1 or 2 culverts plugged that should be taken care of, and I'll put that on a map and so you know where they're at or locate them. We measured one of them, the 2 sloughs are on 312th Street west of that bridge, but it's out of the county's right away. It's 75 or 80 from the end of the bridge. But it's right in where the delineators are. There's one real bad one on the south side and not so bad on the north. But other words, for what I could see, the grass is pretty tall. You can't really see without walking the ditch, but
Yep.
where the stuff was, you could see it from the road, so. And that pipe, we saw that pipe. And I think that's, huh? Yeah, that's about it. Oh, did you take our little lateral map and was gonna get a new one made or something? Cause we can't find it all of a sudden.
I think there's a map of something back in the corner. I don't know what it
This
is.
would be about yay big.
Oh, it's bigger than that.
It was a covered one, you know. I was thinking we give it to you. Or we brought it here for the ditch board or something, but okay, we'll have to.
Long time ago, I made a bunch. I don't remember if it was just for the commissioners, but I can't even find mine now. We need to remake those.
So we got a big one about the size of that map over there, you know. And then Old Take will be bringing us our new bridge maps. Figured we'd get one down here for you.
Yeah, we should start hanging that stuff.
Huh?
We should start hanging some of that stuff on the wall. Just so we
Yeah.
can-
We can put it on cardboard or something, so it'll be stiff. But that's all I had on ditch board, right?
Anybody have anything else? Entertain a motion to come out.
Move to come out of ditch board.
Second. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Hazard mitigation on bridges.
So there's new funding came down the pike last week, almost $6 million. So I got a hold of Jim Poppin. And asked him if where we had no riprap on our bridges before, the back walls, abutments. And where it washed, some of it washed away, just, we couldn't see it at the time. And he said it'd definitely be covered. So I passed that along to Brad, and that's why he was here at the shop last Wednesday. And he got a list of those bridges, so they're all three of the bridges on Frog Creek Road. Cheney's Bottom, or north of Vermillion for you that don't know. The first bridge on University and the first bridge south 46. They're like $6 million bridges and they need to be rip-wrapped more. And Brad thinks that those three on Frog Creek and the two on University, according to what he's seen for the application, that shouldn't be a problem. And it's was it a 10% match or 20%? 10. So that's a pretty good deal if you're looking at a $250,000 on each bridge. That $6 million is what it costs today to replace that bridge.
Yeah.
Just because they're so long, tall, and over the Vermillion River. Frog Creek, they're a little shorter. I think they figured they were, what, 2 million?
2 million. And those didn't have no riprap whatsoever.
They never had riprap on them, so. I figured that, I told him, even if he had to give up some pavement. You could do all the fixing you want on the road, if there's a big hole in the road where the bridge used to be. It didn't do much good to fix the road, better keep track of them.
So the one south of 46 on University, that's the one we just replaced, what, like 10 years ago?
Yeah, maybe not that long, 8, 10.
So that needs more riprap?
Yeah, it actually does. And it's undermined so on the south side, I don't know if you remember that one. You're probably the only one that was here where they built the cattle sidewalk on the north side. So the cows wouldn't step on Topeka shiners. Anyway, the south side has a walkway, not really a walkway, but it's got a bench and that undermined. And that needs to be taken out, and instead of using the concrete, they use riprap that, just because that takes a lot of water pretty quick.
Yeah.
Same with Frog Creek. Those run pretty hard. And there's 3 of them between 302 and 46. And when they were built back in the late 60s, they very little riprap at the approach, but not up against the back, they didn't do it on the back walls and the abutments. So I thought that was, Brad said we're the first one to get a hold of it to ask, but when I see that funding come down, especially 6 million, and it was all says local government. So apparently there's more than that. The state already got their share out of it probably. But I figured we'd get in our first applications.
Made by May 30th.
Yeah. And then when do they? September for the bid or when they let you know? Or
August 2026.
So is this something you guys are gonna be able to do, or do you hire this
This will be
bid?
all on, and that's what he thought, like, all 3 of the Frog Creek bridges, within 2 miles, all 3 of them, so that could possibly be one project. And the other 2 on University could probably be one project, but he, had to look into it more. What were the other two that they're gonna check into, but we're not sure.
Yeah. Matt
We have
Olson.
Matt Olson's and then the one on the river bottom down there north of your place. Neither one of those have much riprap, but they didn't, when we inspected bridges, they weren't looking at that. That is a secondary part of the inspection. But when this come out, the flood, they've been out and looked, so they're not sure about those two. We're gonna apply for the first 5. So we just won't go for get it before somebody else gets it.
Yep.
So that would be, till we find out how much it's gonna cost, I guess.
Lane,
Just keep in mind that that's a competitive grant. There's no guarantee of the funding. And generally, CCOG needs to fill out the application because it's pretty extensive. Or at least in the past, that's who's done it all. I don't know if Altag has actually ever filled those out.
Was gonna recommend you guys reach out to him anyway, so I think that's a good idea. Yep.
Yeah, generally, there's gonna have to be a cost benefit analysis with it. And it shouldn't be a problem with the $6 million bridge and that cost, but just keep in mind that it's not a guarantee and it does take time.
Nothing's ever a guarantee.
got for taxes. Anything else on that? FEMA.
Debris removal for FEMA.
Yeah, you move, ready to move to the next.
Yeah.
Oh. We're awarded, awarded, 39,000,400, 39,000. Right?
Wow.
406,000.
Yes.
Work for Doge.
That was for the countywide tree removal, that, we got this on the 28th of February, and it takes 3 weeks for them to get your checks out, 3 or 4, so that's. It was, Tabernacle.
Tabernacle Bridge, okay. So we're awarded, 75,000, $90.31.
And that's just the FEMA part. So I think it's 100 feet from the center of the bridge, right, either direction. Then NRCS is taking care of the rest. And, you got that sheet? I never thought to get it. After that, so we met with Altag and they turned this into a NRCS for approval. But that's like $42 million.
And our something's. Oh, we have to get it.
I apologize, I should
They
have.
were saying like that. there's
I
no
should have
big
made a
fucking
copy
here,
of that.
back here, so maybe they're over here, just over here, to throw that in.
Both of those amounts for the FEMA,
Yes, that's
First
the
one.
FEMA, yep,
first one also.
yep. And of course, 10% of that comes out of our pocket, because the total 75 and 15 this year from the state instead of 10. What was that? Very much. Yeah, we're in the process of talking to the landowner. On the west side, I talked to the guys that farm it. They didn't figure they'd have a problem with it. We don't really have, we have to have a temporary easement to get out there. permanent easement is like a foot. And it usually floods out right there, but we explained to the guys operating it that one more cut like that, and it's gonna be in their field if we don't do something with the bank there. It's about 300 feet north of the bridge.
Who farms it?
Wigs, Brad and Kim, Stockton. So they give us, actually Brad was gonna call who's ever in charge of it, and, we don't, yeah, sometime Boyd out of Sioux Falls. And he's just gonna let us know we're gonna call him, we haven't touched base with him, and then Alltech will take care of the easements. They got their forms, they'll go meet with him, so. Gotta have,
Hopefully this one's easier than the last one we did.
with them,
No.
no, yeah. He missed out on all the.
Oh, there'll be,
Oh, one thing we gotta look at are bridges, except for the ones that are getting removed, are in good shape, so if you keep protecting them. Do the tops, the one east of 19 on the Ballard Road, the first one, that's due for low sump. But we don't. Yeah, that gets let out for bids next week, so it could happen yet this fall or next year.
you have to re-rip wrap that one? The water below that?
Have we seen any plans for
Haven't
that?
seen nothing.
No, we haven't. Think they're still working on. I pushed to get it placed. But state wasn't having any of it because of the way the water comes in there. The bridge, it needs to be longer, so it, the, comes under there at a skew.
Oh,
And it just tears up the east side, but, and we had a lot of concrete in there. It blew it right out of there, it's all land to the south, and I don't mean little pieces, I mean. Pretty good chunks, so. We're still waiting to hear what that's gonna be. Same way with the bridges down here, the Dakota Street, Dawson. We did everything we could do on the Dakota Street. We filled in that hole and the rest we're gonna have to leave. So we'll be turning in some bills for Wakanda Road to Ballard Road and that DER. Hard telling when we're gonna get the funding after, I don't know, you weren't here last week, but that, we had to re-sign that. For the ER, because, again, all the federal funding is froze right at the moment, so. But we got, as long as we get our work in there by the 5th of April and get our bills in, it don't matter then. We get 100% reimbursement on that,
I was gonna ask, cause there was a few different projects, are we gonna get them all done before April 5th?
3 of them.
That's great.
Well, 2 of them, the Ballard Road and the Wakanda Road, were put that flex mat. That were 2 of them, and then just the hole on Dakota Street Bridge, that's something we can handle.
Yeah.
So we got all 3 of those are done.
I remember when we were first looking at those, we were like, wow, we're going into months where we're not gonna get anything done, but we got pretty lucky on that.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
hunter.
yeah.
Anything else for FEMA then?
I believe so. We got what's the thing we got today?
Material.
That's, that final.
Yeah, we got a final recovery
Yeah,
something,
recovery to.
meeting with our PDMG, TAF. And that should be it. We got everything turned in, so. We'll see. Something usually comes up later on. We did turn something in or they can't find it, but this year, we've had the same gal the whole time. And boy, that made it a lot, she's very good and we didn't have any trouble with her. Before, we've had 7, 8, 9 different PDMGs, so yeah, this was,
Yeah, on the same project.
yes. Yeah, I'm sure you dealt with her too, right?
Yep.
Yep. So that's all we got, except for the
Yeah, and we're gonna have to wait
Yep.
10 minutes on that, so we will. Was Scott coming? Or do we just do that?
Yes.
He is coming, okay, so we'll just jump to vouchers. Did everybody get to see those? We'll entertain a motion.
Move to pay the vouchers.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign, motion passes. 2025 MOU addendum for 4-H advisor. Approval to sign this.
I move for your approval to sign the MOU again.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? And that 11,525 was the same as it's been.
I think so. That sounds right.
Yep. And is that something that we get any proration on if we don't have an advisor
Mhm.
part of the year?
We got a refund back when Lauren left.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Ears were burning?
Come up front.
Yeah.
Balls that would be summons.
And then we've got on the back of this sheet that the resolution for the design build project template. And you guys went over that last week, and
Yeah. Yep.
unless there's gonna be a big discussion on this.
I move to approve resolution 2025-09.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Oh, roll call.
Oh, Gilbertson.
Aye.
Teasy,
Aye.
Brady,
Aye.
Graylobe.
Aye.
Mochler.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, Scott.
Okay, so. Elevator project is complete. With the exception of the phone. Phone's there. Schumacher's end is there. We don't have a phone line dedicated to there. We did have CenturyLink quit maintaining it. A year or so ago. So. I think Mid-Continent to come in and do what they have to do to get a line over there. So they were here last week, came on site. They come on site, they have to do a survey of their equipment. Everything out in the yard is outdated. They want to replace all their equipment out there. And then they want to do, then they got to do some kind of modem tie-in up in the IT room and then be able to plug that line in that goes down into the elevator mechanical room. So that's going to require a shutdown of internet. I said, well, I can't just shut a courthouse down on internet for 30 or however minutes, however long it takes. So I've been working with them to pick a date.
How much is that gonna cost?
Well, I'll ask, but I wouldn't think the upgrade would be any expense to us because their equipment out in the yard,
That's-
but
But you never know, because they usually don't, wherever their pedestal's at, you pay from there.
yeah. I'll ask them what's going on. I don't know if we have any way in or out of that deal or not. I don't know. But with the modem, it's a couple hours to do the whole thing. Well, do we just pick a Friday afternoon and be able to close the courthouse and get both jobs done, or
What's the next holiday coming up, Gary?
we don't have any?
That we take off?
Good question.
I looked at all those. I think we used them up.
I think Memorial Day.
Memorial Day.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
That's the next one.
yeah, there isn't really,
They won't have that off.
right.
Is it an emergency? I mean, cause you could wait till, I would assume they're gonna be working Juneteenth, which we have off.
Yeah, I thought that too. It's not an emergency. I mean, the elevator's been turned over to us. And on all honesty, the old elevator was without phone for quite a while, because this project was coming up, so we didn't get any upgrades done then to it. So,
But I mean, at least the courthouse wouldn't be shut down.
right, yeah, yep.
Unless you have to be here.
I come in a lot.
I mean, if that's,
Cause I schedule a lot of this stuff on the odd holidays. So I do come in a lot. I'm usually not here too long enough to get him in and answer a few questions, come back, check on him, et cetera, et cetera. So. Yeah,
Does that
that's,
seem reasonable?
Vast majority of people in there are gonna have a phone in their pocket.
that's
Yeah.
true.
But
too.
then that doesn't interrupt, and if we do it on that, if they can do it then. And that should give them plenty of lead time to schedule.
Yeah,
for us, I
yep.
think.
So. I can do that. I'll work it out with him.
Good with it.
So, okay, sounds good.
Probably some good signage out there, just so we don't.
Yeah, we're,
any
well, we're,
additional liability or anything that we suppose
Yeah.
they have a phone in there that works and it doesn't. So just make sure.
we could put, big of a sign in there, you know. It's emergencies, use your cell phone.
Little
So-
bike barn in there.
There you go. Just one of those cans.
We still have
Yeah.
some of those sitting around from the fire alarm
Yeah.
system.
Yeah,
Anyway, that was it.
okay,
Okay, thanks.
thanks. Potential sharing of veteran service officer with Yankton County, is that something we wanna tackle right now, or? Wanna just wait 3 minutes?
People's thoughts.
So,
What are people's thoughts?
I discuss it. It was brought up at last week at that meeting. Jeffrey was talking to that, what's his?
Dan Clemish approached us to introduce himself, yep.
And just a brief discussion, we decided to have this on the agenda. I was thinking about it later on. Is there an issue with us affording Drew's replacement? That we would need to do a sharing with Yankton or? Okay,
I mean, we're never gonna fill a planning and zoning part-time position. That's my concern.
well, in the interest of, effectively serving our veterans here in Vermillion, I'm leaning toward getting one here in-house and not do the sharing.
We have one in-house. And he's full-time,
Yeah,
so
and
we would not, if we go sharing, then we're gonna lose a full-service veteran officer. So we're gonna decrease our service to our veterans by sharing.
For those who can. Travel to, or, yeah, just.
and we're, hopefully, gonna be doing interviews next week for this position, so
That's why I was
that's the next.
thinking we better get it discussed and decided before that.
Are there benefits to sharing with Yankton? I can't think of any, besides losing our full-time accessible veterans officer. That would be a disadvantage to us.
Yep, and I think looking at the pool of applications that we've got in, I think that, some confidence that we should have some good service for our veterans here. I think part of the reason this discussion has come up a few times over the last year is that a lot of our veterans are choosing to go to Yankton County. Their veteran service officer has more certifications that allows them to provide deeper service, I think might be a way to look at it. So Drew's got a lot, he's had a lot on his plate, and so then he's had to split his duties between that and planning and zoning, and about half of the veterans that are receiving veteran services in Clay County are currently going to Yankton County. So I think that that's what prompted that discussion, that their veteran service officer was seeing a lot of Clay County residents making the trip over there to access their office where they have a full-time veteran service officer rather than part-time veteran service officers. I think that was kind of where it came from. I don't know where Dan's at. He was pretty friendly when he approached us, so I don't think that he's really trying to put the screws to us of trying to, ask us to help compensate for work that they're paying for over there to serve our veterans, but.
I have to say the pool of applicants, after having that discussion with Dan, reading through everything on the pool of applicants that we're actually gonna be interviewing, I'm very happy with what I'm seeing, so I think regardless of who we choose, I think we'll be well served. I have a lot of confidence in that.
I talked to Drew a little bit last week because he wasn't gonna be able to be here today. And he did say he feels like we need to have a veteran service officer here. you know, he said his one big regret is that he hasn't had the time to do the outreach that he would have liked to do, especially on campus. But zoning took up a lot of his time, you know, COVID hit and then we had the low interest rates and the building permits and things just really took up all of his time. He kind of foresees some of that slowing down. So he felt like, you know, whoever takes over will have more time for the veterans.
That's hopeful. Yeah, it is. And that is something that the, you know, maybe some collaboration between our office and the Yankton office might help serve our veterans better too. That was something that I think Rob Stickney, I think is the name of their, veteran service officer. In a conversation with him, he said that he'd be willing to come to Clay County, you know, as it's his full-time job. So he'd, you know, be happy to schedule events here. He does outreach to events in the community in Yankton where he'll go meet people where they are. So he could come to an American Legion dinner, meet people, make sure that they understand what they have access to there. So maybe whoever we hire, make sure that they've got a good open communication with the Yankton officers. Actually, if some of our vets already are maybe working through that office, then might our new candidate for that position might take it back over here, or at least maybe collaborate on doing some outreach events. I could see a potential slowdown into building the next few years. That seems quite plausible. So, planning and zoning side might be a little less busy.
Anything else? Okay, we'll jump back up to highway material bids opening.
Before we start, just for the new commissioners, if we open them today, we'll take them back, I'll help him go through. We'll bring our recommendations back and award them at the next meeting. That's the way we've been doing it, so.
Okay, so this one's for crane work from Holloway. Well, 40-ton crane with operators, $450 an hour, 110-ton Grove crane with operator, $600 an hour. And there's a whole list of other things that they'll provide. Just gonna read off a couple of them out of each packet. Bid for carbide inserts and grater blades. From DMC Wear Parts. Twelve-foot cover blade, $435.71. Got a hot mix bid. This is from Knife River. D2 asphalt, $88 a ton. G2 asphalt, $75 a ton. G1, $73 a ton. That one is. Oh, so the D2 is from Yankton. The G2 is from the Madison Street asphalt one, and the G1 is from Yankton. Carbide inserts from EV Equipment Blades. 12 footers. 12-foot blade is $341. This is for asphalt concrete from Barkley Asphalt. $74 a ton at the Sioux City plant. Merle and Roy's asphalt concrete. Oh, the other one's open. G1, $67 a ton. G2, $67 a ton, and that's at Merle and Roy's. Road sealant and mastic sealant from Mid States. Oh, here we go. Road Saver. 0.628 cents per pound, and mastic one is 56 cents a pound. Butler Machinery. This is for cutting edge for the blades. 12, let's see, I think that's the 12-footer. I believe the 12-footer is $275 a blade. Is there anybody else you're expecting, or? That's it?
I have not.
Eagle County.
Mhm.
They would have to cut, but that's all that you're done.
Yeah, that's all we've got.
Should have been a couple more for, I would have thought for, the mastic and the crack sealant, road saver and the mastic. I thought there'd been,
I got one.
I don't know, there's something going on between what used to be Brock White, it's White Cap now. And we had a request from Craft Coal, which is the company that makes it. And so we sent them, well, they could bid, neither one of them.
Hmm.
This company went out and always. Not really in trouble, but they don't have it on hand as much as, you know, two bolts, but yeah.
Cause Aztec didn't bid, right?
No, Aztec does. We did do, when we do like the micro servicing and stuff, that'll be done with engineers.
Okay.
And, you know, the chip sealing, we got the same price as we did last year for this year, so that's already done. So, yeah, it seems like.
But the
Well-
Beagle County one, that's already bid, so you can just use it.
Right. I thought it was weird this year. And I don't know if you guys got any of the phone calls like we got, but I got a ton. And it was different companies asking about the project.
Right.
And I had to explain, it's not a project, it's our materials for the year. And then it was like they weren't interested.
they-
So,
after they complete, apparently.
yeah,
Cause I tell them, all they wanna do is they wanna put it on a national registry where everybody else can see what you're bidding, how many, and I tell them, this is just what we use during the year. And then, well, I don't know how they get my number or our number. I'm sure it's all the same place, and they must got your number. Because yes, we did get
yeah, a
quite
lot.
few more. Usually we get them calls like when we do microservicing and chip sealing, I just refer them to Brad.
Yeah.
And then he tells them that this ain't what's going on, so. I do have one other question. So I just heard, Scott, that you have, access to Midco here. We're gonna put, internet in the Wakanda shop. And of course, we have Blue Peak up there because seems out now, nobody from Wakanda is gonna work up there. We have cameras up there, no way to access them like we do out here. So we got a quote from Blue Peak and it's $114 a month just for internet. I thought that's kind of high. Do any of you use Starlink with something else brought up and Verizon?
I have Starlink at my farm and it works wonderful.
Okay, and you just have to buy the dish and the modem and so you don't mind my asking, what do you pay a month for it? Is that just internet or do you get TV too?
Well, it's just, it's the internet. You can stream
Oh,
on
and
it,
then you get, okay,
but it's just the internet and,
so like $90.
yeah, I think it's $90 a month.
And my son just moved from Harrisburg down by Wakanda.
And,
He got that Starlink.
Yeah.
But I don't know nothing about
it,
that.
it works awesome, but I am signed up for Santel. When Santel, they've got everything run and I
Yeah,
was supposed to be hooked up, but they said the line coming to my place, they've got issues with, they're working on fixing that. And so my area there is having some issues, but, if that's something you wanna do, I'll donate my Starlink equipment
is
to the
that,
county if you want it, cause I'm gonna be done with it.
we're, and Verizon, Verizon has, Tracy looked it up on the internet, and they have a business thing, but I'm not sure if that internet would work in a metal building. You know, it's a little cone you set on a,
Yeah.
we have cell phone booster up there, cause we have no landline in the new shop up there. We put a cell phone booster just to get the cell phones to work, but, Blue Peak, of course, the old shop had landline.
Yeah.
So it's right there, and it's no cost to hook it up, but I just thought $114 was quite a bit, but you say we're gonna hook you up.
Well, that's Santel though.
Yeah, that's Santel.
Yeah.
I didn't, because
He said
when
we
we
could
talked,
donate his.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but so my next question was gonna be, what, 114, that's the cheapest plan Blue Peak has?
yep, that's all they had. I asked you, don't you have anything cheaper or something for business, and that was it.
Yeah, cause I run all my cameras on my farm now through the Starlink and I can pull them up right now.
Yeah, you can pull up the ones on the work phone at the Vermillion shop, but you gotta go in there if you need something back up where you can do that. You know, I'm usually up there, so I go in and look, but there's not gonna be anybody up there. From Wakanda, I mean, there's still gonna be people up there, but. So I did, but yeah, that was it. I thought that was
I'm
kind of
surprised, yeah.
Of course,
And Blue
it's
Peak,
business.
Yeah.
And I think, I think they're assuming that there's gonna be a lot of,
it had like 5 gigs or I don't know what that, I don't know how that works, but it seemed like it had quite a bit, but usually it's just for to use the phone, you know. I mean, so he can
Camera, yeah.
look at the cameras,
Yeah.
but,
You know, we were just looking at prices for the, 4-H building and they were less than that, weren't they?
yeah, you got.
It's also in town.
It is, but also they're getting
What's
tons
that?
of federal money to run this line out there, and once it's out there, it doesn't cost them any more to run it in Conda than it does in Vermillion.
You
Like,
got Medco and,
what's that?
you got Medco in
I,
town?
I have Blue Peak in town and it's like $50 a month.
Oh, that's right, they
Yeah.
did. Put some Medco Blue Peak.
Yeah.
And then
Same tow's gonna run 100 mil, so.
I was looking on Blue Peak's website though for personal house. It's like $75.
You
I
gotta,
don't know if we can,
you gotta put the screws to it a little bit. Be like, I've been shopping around, and then they knock it down.
wonder if we can still talk to them,
You're like, hey, we're weighing a few others and we're getting,
especially if we can tell them
I
it's just
just
gonna be
wondered when
cameras.
they thought they might have it hooked up.
They didn't know for sure, cause it's, I just saw, I think Highway 19, Fred there, Ballaway got hooked
Yeah.
up to this guy.
Yep.
So I think they're working their way north.
I know the trucks are out running their tests through those pedestals. You know, they run electricity, whatever they do to check. I know there's been a few they've had. So apparently when they pulled the lines through, something
Yeah,
isn't
'cause
right in there.
they've got everything. It's into my house, the box is in the house,
Oh.
it's into my house, everything. They just, there's something in the line that's, they said is, they've got a bad line somewhere they're trying to figure out. So as soon as that's done, I'll be hooked up.
We'll check around and that might be the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, cause I don't,
I think he said it was like $180 for the addition.
yeah, that could be, I think, I've had it for, geez, maybe 3-4 years now. I think equipment was like $500 back then.
what do you, yeah, we should probably make sure we know what the business rate would be for Starlink too, cause they might be a little higher. What do you pay, or personal is like around 100? Or
Yeah, it's like $90.
90, yeah, so could end up being a wash anyway, I suppose.
Yeah, and I've never, you know, blizzards, rain, nothing, I've never lost service with it. I was very happy with it.
Just trees.
Oh, your trees.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't have any of that issues out there.
Okay, well, we'll do some more checks.
That's why I
Just
went to St. Joe.
wondered what you guys have. You,
Are you hooked up yet?
you have Blue Peak in your farm now?
That's what's coming in.
Coming? Did they plow that in already? That's coming in. They did?
They weren't supposed to. I mean, they plowed the road and then they plowed my driveway. And they weren't, they thought they were on a road and it was my driveway.
Well, I thought the township wasn't letting them plow any roads either.
Well, they did. Well, the township doesn't have any ordinances that says they can't.
So far that worked out pretty good. Nobody seems to complain, but you drive by, see all that orange casing sticking up out of the ground and they just pull it in, pull it out, so it goes around. It's like your place, they gotta redo it, they can pull it right back through instead of digging everything up again, so.
Yep.
All right.
The only bad thing is I got that plastic pedestal, and I'm like, what happens when I burn the ditch?
Oh, it won't burn.
Yeah. It'll melt. It won't burn.
Burn the kids.
I know, but I asked him that. It's like, what happens when I burn this now?
So just so you know, if we get some snow, hopefully it's rain, but if we do get some snow, you'll probably get some phone calls about what the heck we're doing, cause we're only gonna plow one pass on each side, cause the roads are soft.
Yeah.
Get out in that edge, been 20-some years since we flopped a truck north of Meckling, because we fell through the road, and they'll only be hauling one bucket of sand. Try to stay as close to the legal load limit, so. I know as soon as we go out, you'll be, how can they run on the load limits, but we are emergency
Yep.
vehicles, the state allows us to do what we gotta do, but. I know, been a few years, but we actually put out on the radio that we weren't plowing any roads, and I never heard a complaint that we didn't plow. When we got 4 inches of
It's not
But
gonna last,
but our roads are in a lot worse shape than they are.
With rain right on top of it tomorrow.
because what are they talking? Maybe
An
2
inch.
inches?
Yeah.
Maybe.
3 to 6 in our squad, what I saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're a little closer to the dark blue.
Yeah,
So we're not gonna listen to Kevin.
Well,
I don't wanna hear that.
that was, that was the Weather Channel, I didn't look at that, what Lane sends out.
the plow has to go a couple miles past Burbank. We can turn around. Okay, anything else for us?
I don't think so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You said Drew wasn't in the office?
No,
So just will take that sign back with you.
you can leave it in our office if you want to, Rod. We'll give it to him.
See. Flap grant
Right.
discussion.
So there were a lot of very reasonable concerns raised about status of federal funding at the last meeting, so. What I have done since we talked about this last was reach out to Dusty Johnson's office. I started a constituent request there to try to get clarity and any kind of official formal documentation that they could provide. If the program is still in place and any information that they have about any plans to close it, so. I have not heard back from Dusty Johnson's office yet. I also reached out to Chris Jacobson, so she is the public lands representative, I think, or she has a role in the flat grant program at the state level. And she,
does?
yeah, yep,
Along with being our director?
what's that?
You said Christy James.
Yes, in addition to that, yeah,
Okay.
so. I was thinking about reaching out to SD counties anyway, and then I saw her name listed in that role, and I was like, well, you must be the right person to ask here, I guess. I also had reached out to Jill Locken, and Jill Locken is, make sure I get her title right.
Lead Program Manager, Federal Land Aspects.
Thank you, yep. And so Christie actually just forwarded my question on to her as well, so that seemed to be the right person at the feds to connect with. And I sent around the response there. Which is that this program is not scheduled to close. And that they don't anticipate it to close, they anticipate funding to remain there. I also noted in there, so I had a conversation with Sophie, who has moved on from her community development representative role. She's training up Sean Heggie and CCOG to take over her duties there. But because she's been on this project for a while, the two of them were on call. And so one suggestion that she had was to possibly find out whether the funds were in the feds coffers or in the state coffers at this point. And it sounded like in the conversation or the message back from Jill Locken, that we could initiate the flap transfer at any time to get those funds over and available to SDDOT. So that seemed to me like maybe a good step to give us a little bit more confidence. I think once they're on the state side, I'd feel a little bit safer about that. One thing that I haven't done yet, but as I was drinking my coffee this morning, I kind of wished I had, is try to connect with the other recipients in South Dakota. So we're one of several projects that was funded. And I have not connected with any of those others to ask whether I'm assuming that they're sharing our concerns, whether they've gotten any clarity on the program, whether their projects were underway, whether their funds had been transferred over to SDDOT. I don't know where they're at in it. So, yeah, I'm curious about what others' thoughts are. I could do that if you guys would like me to. I could also ask that Jill go ahead and initiate that transfer, and we could see if that goes through or if that triggers any issues at the federal level. That might be a
All those federal funds are frozen right now. So if it's not to the state yet, it's gonna have to wait for that court date through New York City or New York State. Cause that's where our FEMA money's at too,
Is locked up there. Yep.
is locked up until that court case is over in New York.
Yep.
That the federal government has brought.
So should I request that so that it gets in line? I mean, I think that once the funds have been transferred over to the state, I think that we could have more confidence that our, in the language we have with the state, as long as the state receives the funds, they will reimburse us for their contract. And I'm not seeing issues with, relationship with the state on that. So, and if that triggered any issues, then maybe we'd have some clarity on that there will be a holdup here. Is that? And I think that if we don't end up utilizing the funds, then the state would be able to return them to the feds as easily as. That would seem like an appropriate action for me to take.
And then yeah, if you could reach out to the other recipients, we still have a little time before we have to make our final decision.
Yeah, I mean, the clock's ticking a little bit because we want to give, if we award this funds, we want to make sure that we give them time to complete the project. So,
Yeah.
but the plan had been to try to award by mid-March and we're not quite there, so.
Yeah, the nervousness of what we talked about last week is still definitely on my mind, but at the same time, I know what this could, potentially mean for any potential growth in the county and just some niceties to be had, but, yeah, the nervousness of us putting up money and not getting it back definitely, weighs up my mind a little bit.
Yep, me too.
But, yeah, if you could get some of the other grant recipients, and if you need any help, you can let me know and I can contact them too, but, yeah, I'm nervous to move forward without having a definite answer if we're gonna get repaid or not. Yeah.
As am I.
Cause I know this Jill Locken, she doesn't have any real insight to anything either. She responded that some things are lost and that she doesn't have any information that it's not gonna happen. Same thing we talked about last week was nobody has any information. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, she doesn't have control over anyone above her.
Yeah.
One thing that I would say is that I have generally in conversations with anybody in the federal government at, at least at the levels of people that I'm talking to, they are very, very more wary than the language that she provided here. So I think that, I was encouraged. I wasn't actually expecting to get, a statement that was as encouraging as this. I kind of expected something more like, well, a lot of things are up in the air.
I am sure this is her job. She wants this to succeed too.
Yeah.
Because she wants to see this through when she's, has home. Drugs and issues, cause that's her job. She wants to keep her job, I'm sure. So I see, on the list I was reading this morning, that South Dakota, got cut. I saw that, National Park Service in Yankton got cut $175,000.
Yeah.
This.
Yep.
DOD.
I just
DOD
saw.
program, so.
Yeah. Well, and I just saw yesterday, a list and I've been trying to figure out whether it's finalized, or whether it is policy proposal or a finalized list, but, I think the GSA provided a list of offices, that leases that they intend to terminate. And one that was listed was, the Yankton M&R office. So that would be that'd be a big change.
How did the Watertown Farm Service Agency get?
There you go.
Cause they have two of them.
Oh, they have two.
That's what they left out of the article. They have two offices in Watertown.
Well,
And when you're paying $238,000
yeah, that makes
for that
sense now.
80 by 100 building,
That makes sense now.
you could buy the building for that in 1 year.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, well. That makes sense now.
I have a question going back to that budget that I brought up before.
Hmm.
So is this right that the commissioner is 252, 243, and then 130,000 contingency?
No, Carrie corrected me. That had been an idea that I had, after Travis suggested, let's make sure we have clarity on where this is coming out of the budget. And Carrie corrected us that that is probably not the appropriate way to account for this. It'd be better to do a transfer from professional services.
How much, what's,
From professional services?
So, what I think we probably would do or should do, would be to pay it out of, like, say, commissioners, professional services and fees. And then, we could auto supplement that back once we got the grant money.
where is that?
So that's the commissioner's budget, the 111 on there.
Okay. So 252, 243. Right? That's what we have? Or,
I don't have it in front of me, but it would be this, but yeah, the 252, 243, that's the commissioner budget.
okay,
That's our budget.
Right,
That's not professional services.
right.
so where's the professional services budget?
It's within, like, that's the lump sum and it's a line within that lump sum. So, right,
Okay. Just, that $250,000 is stuck in my head and I wanna see where it's coming
The
from.
simple answer is it's not in there,
Okay,
not right now, because it was never budgeted for. So our 252, that number you're looking at is what that's our guesstimate, just based off past history of what we need. So it's not budgeted in there, if you're looking for it.
that's what I'm doing.
Yep.
So you wanna wipe this out,
But we can't,
Correct.
because our wages are part of that.
okay? Just wanna be clear, what's gonna happen if we don't get this better
Yeah,
funding?
no,
Well,
I'm not comfortable with, if we don't have clarity that we will be reimbursed, then I'm not comfortable with spending.
I think we're all on that. Yeah, I think we all agree on that. Yeah. You know, cause we don't want, we can take that kind of hit. Yeah, we don't want to put anything
And I
in
think,
jeopardy.
and we may have a lot of other unexpected expenses going next
There,
years.
there's something else I wanted to bring up. I went to that, township planning meeting last week. Basically for all the townships to do their annual reports.
Yeah.
There was a gal there. It's a Schwabach Insurance, I can't remember.
Yep. That's who they use.
This topic came up and we were talking about liability for the townships. And she said, we are not covered if a bicycle is on a township crossing or I'm assuming this path, 'cause it'll be on township property. We're not covered. If there's injury or worse. So
Is that something that we concern ourselves with on the county roads in general? Do we have liability for?
Why would they?
well, I'm just bringing that up. Cause the township specifically would not be
I mean,
covered.
I
Yeah,
thought,
the insurance company is telling them that if it crosses your. If it crosses your road or is in your ditch, you're not covered. And the liability, if someone were to come out of the ditch or however the bike path is, crosses your road, they get hit, they can sue the township.
I think the difference there is if it's a designated bike path or bike route that say, okay, we've designated this as a bike route, rather it's just a road where it's a road.
like, there's a, what is it, a 6-foot right shoulder or something on 19 that is a designated bike route. If I'm on my bike on that bike shoulder and I get hit by a car, do I get to like sue the state?
Yep.
Yep.
Really? Can you sue the state because somebody hit your car while you're driving down a road that your car is
Well,
authorized on?
that-
Why would that not be? I
That's
don't
gonna,
understand what you're talking about.
Well,
that's gonna be the car's fault if they go into the bike path. It's a liability of the car. If you go into their path, but if there's damage to the road, say there's a pothole or something that you hit, then the state can be liable, yes. If you're on a township road and it's graded and they kick up a big rock and it's a designated bike path, and you hit that rock, they could be liable.
Well, the corridor we're talking about is county right of ways. So But
So,
I would,
I
I
think
guess,
that's the
want to
designated.
discuss that
difference.
with Michael, maybe,
I mean,
I'm just
If
not,
you get hit by a car, obviously
Yeah.
something went wrong. You know, that's a different liability. You know, either you were in their roadway or they were in your roadway, so. That's not the state's liability because somebody made a mistake, you know, but it is a liability if there's a pothole there. You hit with your bike, and you broke your ankle.
It seems hard to believe, because
Yeah.
there's so much loose gravel on the shoulders, even on 19 going north, that, I mean, as a cyclist, obviously, you just learn. I don't know, that seems so weird.
yeah, I've never heard of anybody doing.
It's just what their insurance company's telling the townships.
Yeah, I mean, we could,
I could have been millionaires many times.
Well, that's one thing, I looked through all these proposals, I don't see anything that, anywhere that they're addressing liability. So. That lady was pretty clear, and, State Association of Towns and Townships, there was a guy there also. And he was not in favor of this either. He was very concerned about it. Because we are gonna be on especially on the county line there. It's Norway Township and Gayville and Yankton. So. That's a concern.
yeah, I think that probably if we were to do improvements on that road, we would add that to the county system before we did improvements on it, or be working with the townships if they were going to continue maintaining it, you know, that would be something that, you know, would be in conversation with them, my expectation, but that's pretty far down the road, right?
Well. Now's the
Like,
time to talk about it, I
These
think.
seem like the sorts of
Yeah, you know-
considerations that, an entity like some of these companies that we receive proposals from would be able to give us clear answers on.
Well, like I say, I don't see anything in the proposals they sent, so.
And that would be a good, you know, if we pick a top two and we're gonna do an interview with them, I think that would be an excellent question to present to.
That's something we could have to see about a little bit too, is
Yeah, that might be a good idea. Yep. I can ask them about that, so.
yeah, having all the I's dotted and T's crossed if this were to happen. Don't wanna leave anybody in the.
Well, they're not gonna tell the insurance company what to cover though. But you could.
Yeah, no,
might
I
ask them,
just,
But
I guess I had thought that there was something in state law that provides some degree of insulation to, you know, to public entities that are maintaining roads in good faith or something like that. I might be mistaken, but.
So how are they
None
gonna,
of us are lawyers, so.
on those proposals, how are they gonna go down 452? Cause that road's closed,
yeah,
the county line.
So they would be exploring whether that road would be improved to make it a feasible way that you could get a kayak down the.
But how are they gonna be able to do that? They can't go down that road. The road's closed.
They can't go down that road.
there is no.
The townships closed the road.
Right,
There is no section line anymore.
that's not true. You can't close a section line road that into a
It's,
navigable body of
it's
water.
farmed, it's being farmed right now.
You can't close a section line
Yeah.
that takes you to something that is more than 40 acres that is surrounded by land. The
Okay.
river has access in multiple points. So yes, you can close those roads,
Okay, well,
and that road's closed, according to Calvin, the township
I,
supervisor.
it is, I've seen it myself too, yeah. I get the lines there on paper. I
Yeah, the
assume,
line's still gonna be there.
But. Everything's farmed.
There's a road going to, I think, giving Glenn Nelson access. It might be what? It's not even a quarter mile long.
Right from the corner south of Calvin's house. It shoots to the east, and right there, there's nothing, it's farmland.
Okay. Cause that's, I mean, that whole, from Timber Road to the rivers, over half a mile, right?
Yeah, it's a mile.
And I knew there was just a little bit for Glenn to get access.
Yeah, that's a good mile.
Oh, it's a mile?
I'd say from that corner,
Okay.
suppose about half, from that corner.
Anybody have any other thoughts? Do we continue to move forward with it? We can discuss it again next week if you'd like.
Table until next week and see if we.
I can attempt to get that additional information. I'll be zooming in next week. Should be able to zoom in with them.
Have a motion to table it. On a second, Jeffrey.
Sure.
Yeah, and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign, motion passes. Cook County Park, anything?
Nothing new. Working on getting my friends regular fertilizer spreader out there hopefully this week to get the rest of the hand gathered seed out in the field, and we're working on finalizing our purchase seed mix. So,
I have a follow-up question on that. You said that you had some grants,
yes.
17,000 total in total.
No, and actually, that was just slightly off in the minutes. So I think we were receiving something like 17,000 in cumulative rent payments. The grant total, so we received two $5,000 anonymous grants. And then we are expecting to receive a Pheasants Forever pollinator, Dakota Skipper pollinator, habitat producing grant. And that one is $200 an acre. So 200 times 31 and a half comes out to around 6,000. So closer to 1,600 or 16,000. I apologize.
So are any of these in perpetuity for the annual?
No. So we would be no longer receiving rent income or ongoing income from this parcel. But we'd be receiving so much more from the remaining farm ground that the park board was comfortable with that trade-off. The park board's not a for-profit entity. The park board exists to provide recreational opportunities to our residents and our visitors. So that is the mission that they're trying to fulfill. And any funds that they receive are simply to further that mission. So there's trade-offs. They could always make more money. They could tear up the whole park and rent the whole thing, but they decide the appropriate balance of income they receive, and balance that against the amenities that they provide. So,
Not asking to tear up the whole park.
Yeah.
That's. I'm just saying. Said last week, this is good farmland and we could be making 10 grand off it, but it's in grass. So that's all I'm saying.
Still the CRP on that 31 acres, where did that?
we don't currently have a CRP contract on that, and at this point, I'm feeling maybe okay about that, because it seems like there's a lot of uncertainty in federal programs all up and down the way, so I'm glad that we don't have that. So
But did you ever look into it?
we looked into it initially. I did not follow up on that since you asked about it last. I apologize for that. Also, we have begun the restoration work, and so then that, I think, was an issue.
But there's lies the problem. You were directed to try and put that into CRP to begin with.
No,
This is what
that
you're
is,
gonna do.
that is not
That's
right.
what the
We can
board-
go dig through minutes
The
because. this did
consensus
come
from the
up
board was,
previously.
yes, you need to look into the CRP.
That was a later consensus after we were well into the project. So
You hadn't seeded anything yet, though.
we had not seeded anything yet. No, that's true.
So you just disregarded what the board wanted.
No, there's two different entities, and the Clay County Park Board considered this and the county commission considered it, and the county commission agreed in the initial discussion that would be onerous and burdensome, and the Clay County Park Board determined that it also would be potentially onerous and burdensome, that they would desire to use it in ways that could be impeded by having CRP designation. We could have issues with putting trails on the site in the future. We could have issues with management. We might want to burn it at a different frequency or manage it differently than we're required by a CRP contract. The seed that we're using, that none of this, the hand gathered seed is pure live seed, so it wouldn't fit under a CRP contract. So I apologize. I've been doing a lot of things on this project, and I apologize for dropping the ball on that one, but the initial discussions of that were that it was not an issue. You brought it up later and asked if I look into it, and I apologize that I did not get around to looking into it.
We discussed it more than once, and this board didn't agree that it was gonna be a problem. This board wanted you to look into it, see what the income could be. Work with them on putting your live seed out there. They weren't gonna have a problem with it. With you, they were gonna give you a mixture. You could add stuff to this. And then that was going to be more income. I mean, if the park board doesn't need the income, then that's gonna be a whole nother conversation. You know, that changes a lot of things. If, you know, we gave it to them to try and keep them afloat. Well, if they've got so much money now that they don't need to rent all the ground out, we're getting into a problem.
So I take issue with that characterization. I think that giving the park board grief for managing its finances well is not appropriate. I think that they have gotten themselves in a situation where they don't have more money than they know what to do with. They know what to do with this piece of ground. They are meeting a need that the public expressed.
You are not impeding the trails. People can still walk out there. It's not a problem. And I'm not giving them grief. I remember what the park board was like before. And I helped straighten that and correct the ship.
Yep.
So for me to sit here and express my opinion on what I think should be happening, I've earned that right.
That's appropriate, yep. Well, we haven't drilled any seed out there yet, and I can communicate with farm services and find out what the options are. So, okay. We haven't purchased our seed mix, so I will come back to you with that.
I don't have anything on the building projects, joint jurisdiction. Anything there? Nothing. Any other commissioner reports? I don't think we have anything for executive session. And Kevin, Monday and Tuesday?
Yep.
Everybody get those emails?
Yeah, so what is the time? So Monday, I will be leaving town at some point. I don't have to leave early, so what's the time frame for?
All day, like 9 to 4.
9 to 4?
The last one starts at 4. And
I don't think I received a calendar
I didn't receive
notification
any
for
time.
Tuesday. I think they were all on Monday, weren't they?
Tuesday is there's, she's setting them up right now.
Oh, she is. Okay.
Monday's extension secretary, Tuesday's veterans.
Yeah, or yeah, other way around. Monday.
Other way around, yep.
Monday is veterans.
Monday's
veteran.
Oh, Monday's veterans. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, sorry.
Tuesday is the afternoon.
Okay.
Monday's
Okay.
all day.
And we can report them.
Okay.
So whatever you miss, you
That
can go
would be
back and
helpful.
look. Right,
Alright.
Carrie,
Can you do that?
we can record these while we're having it.
The
I don't
extension
know.
secretary is going to be at the extension office. So that might be,
It is?
yeah. That's what's been going back and forth as of late, because Katie asked for it to be there,
Why?
just because that's the space that it's in, but if we need to move it here, I mean.
I appreciate that. I was planning on zooming into the meeting. and
Let me
I think it
resend
needs to
those
be here
interviews.
too.
Let me
Yeah,
respond to
more
that then.
comfortable here.
Okay.
So I know through HR, we have in a different capacity, we've recorded the interviews.
Okay.
So somebody who couldn't make it could watch them later.
So nice.
So we should be able to do that here.
I was,
Tasia was part of that also, so we should be able to, they're just not gonna be public.
I was mistaken, Jeff, because the first was at 9:30.
The first one's at 9:30.
But we'll get them recorded soon.
All right.
Whatever you do miss.
Do you want me to CC you on the list of the thing, then you can spread it to all these, or
Sure.
can I just send it to everybody?
Sure.
I'll send it to you.
thought.
9:30, 11, 1. 2:30.
The interviews.
Yeah, I think this would be the best place for them. We just need to bring in a couple more chairs, the extension, because we're gonna have Katie and Missy. Katie's Fair Board Chairman, President, for those who don't know, Katie Carter, and then Missy's the Fair Board Manager. So they were gonna be part of the interview process, and then Tasia will be here also. So
Tasia will not be. here
she,
for
oh,
that.
she's not gonna be here
Not
for
for
that,
that.
okay, that's right. Right, because that's Tuesday, she'll
Yeah.
be here Monday.
Yeah.
And Kevin's comfortable because Katie is HR for the Board of Regents, so.
Yeah.
She'll know how to.
That's right.
Nice.
And Tasia's
Tell
gonna-
us what not. to do.
Yeah, and Tasia will give us, or she's gonna help with some questions
Yeah.
too, so she'll get us set up and the right road.
How many did they whittle it down to?
I haven't,
5 for Tuesday also?
so it's, I think they're shorter time frames.
Oh, so that last interview she had, that lady made the cut.
Or maybe it's only 4 then.
It was for the day we talked, and then she had one more interview to do, and I didn't know how that one turned out. So a minimum of 4,
Yeah. minimum
possibly
4.
5.
And she's supposed to be setting those up by phone today, or maybe yesterday, so I should hear something. If they only send it to us 3, I'll send it to you and you can
Okay.
spit it out. I don't know why she didn't
Mm-hmm.
include everybody on this, but,
Or at least Carrie, so she can kick it out too.
right, yeah.
So 9:30 Monday mornings when we start? Okay. But yeah, whatever works for you, Jeffrey, whenever you have. to.
Sure. Yeah, that gives you flexibility. I was hoping to leave earlier, so.
No, Tuesday will be afternoon, so we've got.
We
commission
got meeting in the morning.
in the morning, so it's gonna be an all day,
Right.
all day, Monday, all day Tuesday deal.
So the biggest question is what do you want to eat? Cause we'll just have it brought in. So do we get Pizza Ranch or Jimmy John's or whatever?
Out of those boxes. Dang, I was doing so good.
If I think of any specific questions that I'd like you guys to ask, then I can just email those over, and then that way, if I'm maybe may or may not be able to be in person for some of them, then that way, so that'll get the questions I have with you asked. Won't be in response to the individual necessarily, but I have some clarifications from any of their other materials that I'm interested in. So.
Yeah. We got 9:30, 11, 1, 2, and 4.
I was impressed that seem like we have some strong candidates.
Yeah, very much so.
We had 46 to choose from. On the extension.
Okay.
Oh,
Sorry.
Not,
Like,
not-
uh-oh.
The veterans.
Yeah.
We had quite a few on the
Yeah,
veterans side too.
that was an impressive amount. I
19 or something, or?
didn't think there'd be that
Yeah.
many that would be qualified, but there was one guy that had a great resume, but he wasn't.
Well, hopefully it's just a good time to hire because, we're gonna advertise the opening in my office here too, so hopefully I get a lot to choose from.
You're gonna sit in on those interviews too, right?
I can, yeah, I planned on it.
Anybody have anything else? To adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. We're adjourned. Thank you.